Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Data Scientist podcast. Today, I'm very happy to have here with us Jordan Parks, the CEO of Angelo Art, and we're going to have a very interesting discussion about the future of art, Web3, NFTs, fractionalization, and many, many other things. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, sir, from space.
Would you like to introduce yourself and say a few things about Angelo?
Yeah, sure. So you've already introduced me. My name's Jordan. Not big on talking about my personal life, so I'll spare all the details that goes on there. But let's just say I've been in the marketing business for a good decade now, doing my own agency, which is still in operation today. Angelo is actually going to change the face of art, however. This is my biggest passion project in life. It's what I've always wanted to do. And thanks to blockchain, it's possible to actually do it. Yeah. So what is Angelo? Angelo is basically a stock market for fine arts in the broadest sense of the word. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's never really been done for a very long time. Art has not changed for the last couple hundred years. Still almost the exact same way it's sold that you see in the movies in the 1800s. Still the same way today. A bunch of billionaires get together, drink, get really drunk, hold up their cards. Yeah, I want that one for like $1 million. Someone out tries to outbid them. No, I'll bid it for 1.5 million. That's very much still how it works today, right? So this is trying to break down the barriers to entry for everybody so that everybody can invest in fine art and reap the benefits of doing so, because the art has been historically inflation resistant for a very long time now, and that's proven. Yeah. Blockchain enters the equation because you can actually put every art recorded sale on blockchain, right? Which is actually a big deal in the art world because there is no central database for fine art. You have some auction histories you can look up, etc. But as far as who owns what, who did what, when, why, and where, there's no open and transparent record of that. So it's very opaque, mysterious kind of industry. That's why it gives it a little bit of a sex appeal a little bit when you see it in the movies, right? So we're combining these two things, right? We're going to fractionalize art on Angelo.app, so that $100,000 painting is going to be split into individual units that you can purchase, aka tokens, let's say. Yeah. And that is going to make it much more accessible to everybody, for first of all, who has $100,000 to spend on art, right? Almost nobody, right? It's a very small amount. So by fractionalizing it, we're making it easy for people to invest in, right? And by tokenizing it, we're making it easy to identify who owns what and to exchange it with each other. Yeah. So that's what Angelo.app's doing. I hope I didn't get too confusing for you all out there, but it's not that hard to use once you start using it. Think of like a crypto exchange. In place of crypto tokens, you have tokens that represent physical fine art out here in real life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think this makes perfect sense to me because we've also worked together. And can I ask you, how big do you think this market is, according to your estimation? Because it sounds like you're democratizing what is a very opaque and archaic industry.
Yes.
So how big do you think this market
well,
is?
There's the fine art market just now is about 68 billion a year annually, right? So it's actually much bigger than even I thought when I was first getting involved with this business. I was like, okay, it's probably like a $5 or $10 billion industry or something like that. But no, it's like 68 billion. It's actually much bigger than most people think.
And what feedback have you been getting from the users so far? So do you think that this is a market that is going to grow? And why would someone want to get involved in this? Is it about just making a quick buck? Is it, I don't know, because they
it could be whatever you want. I mean, if you want to make money, you can do that. If you want to collect, you can do that, right? If you want to just actually support an artist you think is cool that normally wouldn't be supported, you can also do that. Right.
So essentially, I guess this platform, it operates like the whole concept is that you've taken art and you've created a whole new asset class out of it, which ideally is not that well correlated with things like the S&P 500 or even maybe crypto, which I guess would attract a particular type of investor. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's historically what it's been, but we're sort of bringing the asset class into the markets this way, so to speak. So it actually might correlate along with like movements in Bitcoin and movements of the S&P once this platform's been popularized, right? So before it's like pretty much stayed out of the markets at all, like to begin with, and this is sort of introducing it to the markets. So what'll happen with that in the future is anybody's guess at this point. That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess it's definitely one of the things that shows the power of blockchain, right? So I think fractionalization, even outside of the art world, is something that's been discussed a lot, as well as in real estate and other industries. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you think that fractionalization is something that's here to stay? And do you think that's like a real blockchain use case? And by real, I mean, blockchain is often attacked as something that's like a get rich quick scheme, like in DeFi and all that.
Because
But
that's what it's been for like a lot of times, right?
yeah,
So it's like,
but
the
now this
critics
feels
are not like,
different, right? And what's
yeah.
your opinion of fractionalization and art, or not only of art, but also like of other assets as well? Do you think that's like a real use case? Are we going to see more of this?
Yeah, I don't think it applies to everything, but in some asset classes it works beautifully. Like real estate would be one, art is another one, maybe fine wine. I've seen also some things for whiskey barrels. I do think that you run into some limitations, at least where we are right now. Obviously, when Gen Z is my age or your age or whatever, around like 40, the investment landscape might look totally different. Maybe like something like collectible Pokemon cards would be something that people trade actively in like a fractionalized environment. But right now, I think it's best suited for actually more traditional asset classes at the moment. Yeah. So they've tried to do like fractionalized like NFTs, for example, for like a lot of stuff, but it still just doesn't really hold the value long term, right? That's the problem.
Yeah.
So I think that either the market just doesn't want it right now. Maybe it will at one point, but for right now, I think blockchain actually performs best working with traditional asset classes, right?
Yeah, actually, that's an excellent point. And I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure many of our listeners are going to be thinking about the same. You're like, okay, you guys are fractionalizing art, and someone will be like, oh, why I'm not just going to buy some NFT or something, right? And then you will come back and say, hey, we actually have a real artwork somewhere, and this thing actually exists. So can you elaborate on this process? Like if someone was to invest in Angelo, what would they really be investing in? It's not like they would invest in an NFT, just an NFT, right? So there is some kind of real
No, just the
someone.
NFT is simply the vehicle, but you're actually getting a paper contract that comes in your email box and you get it, right? So you actually do own a physical share of a physical painting, right? But the NFT we're using just as the vehicle, because the technology that blockchain offers is like amazing, like for like a developer, because you can kind of like offload the entire exchange process onto Ethereum, for example. So it's almost like you've outsourced like a big part of your development to like a public development toolkit, essentially, that runs like a lot of the platforms. So it really makes a lot of sense, to be honest, to do it this way. But no, yeah, I mean, physical asset is what you're getting when you buy an Angelo. So let's just say the company goes bankrupt tomorrow. You still have that, you still legally are entitled to that art piece that you own, right? However many shares you have, it's still there, right? And it'll get liquidated at auction and you will get a portion of your money back, right? So that's way better than like investing in like your typical token today where there's no promise of anything, right? It could be like, $500 a day, next week, it's like $3, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not backed by anything, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what you're saying is that you guys actually have custody of this piece of art, or someone else does, and then there's a contract which testifies that me as a user actually that's beautiful, and obviously it is much better than buying NFTs with pictures of rocks and what.
I mean, NFTs are like cool, like they're fun, but it's not like I don't think they're like a serious investment class, right?
Yeah. I see what you mean. It's a bit like DeFi, as in, DeFi has many applications, but at some point there needs to be a connection with the real economy, right? Right, with the real world.
At some point, yeah. We can't just live in the matrix 100% of the time here.
Yeah, exactly. And just sell bits and bytes to each other with any real world impact. This is just insanity, right? It's probably one of the reasons that I think maybe the metaverse has lost its popularity. Maybe it's going to do a comeback. I don't know. What do you think about this whole trend about the metaverse? Do you think?
I think that the metaverse technology, it's just not here. It's just not ready yet. I mean, it definitely is going to be a big thing at one point. I'm more bullish on augmented reality than I am on virtual reality, though. Because augmented reality, I mean, we've already even got close to that. If you remember those Google Glass Star
Oh,
Trek
yeah,
things
absolutely
we've been
do.
wearing
Yeah.
for a while. Like if with like a few more generations of tech cycle that comes through, those things are going to work, right? And I can definitely see a lot of applications for that. You know, stuff like Pokemon Go is a good example of what AR can do, right? And, you know, people are going crazy for like 2 or 3 months trying to catch Pokemon all over the world.
I was one of those people.
You would be, still honest, with your cockpit, your jet fighter chair you got back there, I see.
Yeah, I love Pokemon. What can I say? All right, I see. And then also wanted to ask you about the tokenomics of Angelo. We obviously we were together on that part. You know, for the sake of our listeners, I want to maybe to hear like a brief version of like, or your version as to what makes Angelo tokenomics special, and not in the sense that, you know, it's not like we're talking about some insanely complicated DeFi protocol that
Yeah, of
only
course. We
7
don't need,
people in the world can understand.
let's
But
not
you know,
put
how
everyone to sleep. Yeah.
exactly, but how does it actually deliver value, you know, for the users and for the world of art?
Yeah, so for the forthcoming token, I mean, I shouldn't say I should say we, because we all worked on this together, of course, but we wanted to kind of come up with something that would be useful, right? Not just like another thing that you just stake and like, I don't know, you get like paid back Angelo dividends or something like that. We wanted to kind of incentivize the economy in such a way where the tokens actually provided like tangible utility. So kind of what we did, and you're a big part of this process as well, actually. So kind of what we did is we're going to have art curators on the platform so this is not like OpenSea where you can just post whatever you want on here. Everything is curated, right? Those same curators are going to be heavily involved in the token economy because our users for our forthcoming token are going to be able to stake or deposit their tokens with these curators. And then these curators are going to be incentivized to go out and get better artists and better performing art, right? And the more successful the curator is, the bigger the token rewards are for them. So actually, for the first time, we're going to actually have like incentivized taste making, right? That's how it's going to work, and that's going to be a large part of how new artists and new paintings actually get popular on the platform, right? So that's like kind of like the basic version of it. And obviously, you're the big dork that knows even the finer grades of technical stuff here, but for our basic users, yeah, for the first time, these tokens will be used to incentivize new art that's coming on the platform. Yeah, that's the basic motion here.
Perfect. So I guess it's all about the tokenomics is all about generating some kind of real world utility, and I guess in this case, the utility is some kind of information exchange, right? Like really get the experts to identify the best works of art. So it's not like
that's what it is. Yeah,
and then you get more tokens, and then something happens, you know, or something unsustainable. Yeah, that's.
I mean, if you're like art curator right now, you're like the most like very educated but underappreciated kind of guy. So this would actually be like a great incentive for them to actually do it, because right now they don't have anything like that, right?
Yeah, 100%. And something else which is probably worth noting is that Angelo was also one of the first projects to be audited using a new auditing framework I've been working on, and hopefully will be soon published on the Journal of the British Blockchain Association. So that's
right.
also,
shout out.
yeah, exactly. So I'm also pretty happy about that. I guess for anyone who's listening, they're probably gonna. I mean, I think you can actually get access to the audit from on the Angelo website, which we'll get to in a second. But the auditing framework should also be out in the next few weeks or months at most, so you can read more about it. And talking about the website, where can people learn more about you, like as a person, but also about Angelo, like the website, LinkedIn, Twitter, Medium, Discord, whatever?
Yeah, we're all about that. We got our own Discord, we got our Twitter, we got LinkedIn, we got, everyone's got everything these days. It's just not an option not to. But the main website, if you want to find the most information, is angelo.app. It's one of those newfangled funky extensions, right? And the Twitter is Angelo Ecosystems. If you just search that in the Twitter bar, you'll find us right there. We're active pretty much almost every day. My name is Jordan Parks. You can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Okay, so I think this was a very interesting discussion, and it looks like Angelo is actually doing very well, even if the market conditions right now are not that great.
You got to build in the bear market, my friends.
Exactly, but that's a great thing, right? Because if you actually manage to build and survive during a bear market, then things can only get better from there, right?
If you can survive the bear market, you're golden.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, let's hope for the best. And yeah, for everyone listening, just make sure to visit angelos.art and learn more about it. And
Angelo.app. Angelo.app.
okay, sorry, yeah.
Angelo.art was the old website, but I know,
Okay.
common mistake.
There will be a link to the description, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube anyway. So there's no misunderstanding about the URL. And if any of you have any questions about tokenomics auditing or tokenomics or Web3, feel free to reach out
This
to
is
me.
the guy right here. He does a great job.
Thanks, Jordan. I'm flattered. So thanks, everyone. And thank you, Jordan. And we hope to see you again on some other of our episodes. And make sure to visit the datascientist.com for more content on AI, data science, and Web3.
All right. I'm signing out from space.
Bye.
Ciao.